Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. You know, with the world hurling itself at us these days, with so much knowledge, as rapid as it is, so much connectivity available at all times, it's critical that we get some space and room to be able to participate in activities that are important to us without being dragged away, or without feeling daunted or perplexed. It is possible to accomplish this. Getting things done is a set of techniques for getting things done that I've spent years researching and putting to the test. It's not about time management at all. It's all about how we manage our focus, really. How do we keep track of our focus? So, here's a quick rundown of how everything fits together. Is actually made up of 5 steps. These are the 5 stages to follow. They weren't. I've just now begun to comprehend what's actually going on. When we've regained control of the situation, as if you've ever had a kitchen that was out of control, what steps did you take to get it back on solid ground? So you could concentrate on supper preparations? Actually, you go through 5 steps. It doesn't matter if it's your kitchen or your business, or anything else you'd like to keep under control. Simply put, the first stage is to capture information and the ability to spot anything that isn't on cruise control, and you'll have to figure out what they are. As a result, you must capture or collect data. Something that isn't quite right, maybe it isn't exactly where it should be. The second thing to do is to put it to use. Is that you make decisions on what you've captured. Make sure you understand what those terms mean to you. To put it another way, is it time to move on or not? Is it anything that belongs in its current location? Is it a symbol for something else that I'll have to keep an eye on? Once you've completed that, if you've managed to get a hold of everything when you've explained what they're talking about, then you'll want to systematize the outcomes of your thoughts. I only need to park these items because I'm organized. I'd like to know where they're going so I don't have to keep contemplating them, or continue to irritate me, may divert my attention away from what I'm doing. Now, once you've completed all of this, then you must take a step back and assess the situation. And think about what it all means, a greater gestalt, a bigger picture, the more comprehensive list of what all of these items are. After you've completed that, I've photographed the items that drew my interest, clarified exactly what they're talking about, they're parked where they're supposed to be, and take a step back to view the big picture. That's when I'll be able to start making decent, trustworthy decisions. I make intuitive decisions regarding what I do. How do I allocate my resources in relation to all of this? So, to use your kitchen as an example, as soon as you enter, it's gotten out of hand. So you begin to tidy it up. You begin to put things together, then you wonder, well, what are these? Is that anything that belongs in the fridge? Is that something you throw away? Then you take a step back. After then, you might want to get your recipe out. Check to see if you have all of the necessary elements. Then you get down to business, making dinner. So it's a matter of common sense. It's a standard approach to how we handle everything. However, putting that into practice in a more sophisticated manner in the kind of world we're living in now, the input speed and volume that we're all trying to deal with on an hourly basis, putting those ideals into practice is a big deal. That people don't appear to accomplish automatically or naturally. It's something that you'll have to learn how to do. You can get a lot better at it. As a result, getting things done is the methodology. A collection of best practices arranged in such a way so that you can keep up with your life and career as well as not being distracted by it, and you're completely focused on what you're doing. Let's start with the A prima, most important item that you must do in order to regain control of the situation captured is the stage where you focus and get focused. When we engage with folks one-on-one, we frequently find that we'll start by taking a look around their workspace and utter anything that doesn't belong in this place. What aren't supplies or reference books? Or perhaps some sort of decoration or equipment? By the way, those 4 things are equipment, supplies, reference material, and decoration. are the only things that truly belong in this world where things are as they are. Everything else is a representation of something in motion. In motion, in motion, in motion, in motion, in motion, in motion, in something that is most likely symbolic of something you must complete, make a decision about, do, or do something with. Perhaps it's a report on your desk. Alternatively, it could be something you still need to read. Or a memo to which you must react. Perhaps it's a flashlight that has run out of batteries. That's something you need to take care of right now. As a result, all of that information should be acquired. We like to use in-trays for this. This is a picture of my in-tray, which I adore. This is something I use more than anyone else. Because I require a location to store all of my belongings, business cards, receipts, etc., from my pockets, meetings, etc. Anything of those lines. As a result, a physical in-tray is a fantastic tool. Also, it's a great item to have just for oneself. To be able to gather all of that information once we've gathered all of the physical items, that could be a symbol for anything that isn't finished. Or, as we like to call it, an open loop, something that hasn't been completed yet. Or take action in response to it, then we say, all right, let's empty your thoughts. A mind sweep is what we call it. Simply put, a mind sweep is everything you have. You're focusing your attention on it all. The strategy plan needs to be rewritten. My Aunt Matilda will be paying me a visit. I'll take care of everything. I have a vacation coming up that I need to prepare for. As a result, most of the getting things done process is applicable to you. It's all about paying attention to what's on your mind. Of course, there's a terrific way to capture that. Is to jot it down on paper. That is the most obvious method. I'm in need of cat food or a strategic strategy, to be honest. Whatever it is, and then put it in a safe location. That, by the way, can take a long time for most people. Just getting together can take anywhere from 1 to 6 hours. And determine what is pulling on their mental state. So, in capture, the recommended practice is to make sure that you've taken some type of stand-in for something that has piqued your interest, whether small, large, personal, or professional, in a trustworthy location, in a trusted bucket, and I've put it somewhere with a trusted bucket. I'm not going to throw it away, and I'll get to it later. It won't take long, and it'll be somewhere I can trust. The worst thing you can do is come to an agreement with yourself. Because it's the world's leakiest location. Your head is a dreadful workplace. Your mind is for generating ideas, not storing them. As a result, this is a significant, major behavior shift. By the way, for the vast majority of adults, this necessitates the use of tools. I previously highlighted the most obvious, which is simply a pen and paper. I always have my most important tool with me when I receive new ideas. Those are in my pocket right now, and simply jotting down notes. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'll figure it out soon enough. I'll also take these notes and file them away. So they don't get lost, I keep them in my own in-tray. Obviously, anything that can record a thought qualifies. You may use your smartphone to leave a message for yourself. It's possible to scribble it on a whiteboard. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you place it somewhere. That you're confident you won't lose it. By the way, the higher the level of sophistication, the better. The more professional you get, the more good job ideas you will have. This will not occur at work. You'll be going to the store to get some bread. While pondering a topic to bring up during a marketing meeting, you'll be thinking about that in the marketing meeting. You'll require bread. So I enjoy the concept of using your imagination to generate ideas. You only need to think of that notion once. So, once again, capture, gather anything that catches your eye. That's the first task. And the best practice is to get everything out of your thoughts. Also, don't leave anything unattended. In the dark recesses of your psyche, as a result, we must now define what it is on which we had focused our attention. What exactly does the term clarify imply? In a way, you could conceive of it that way. As well as digesting the information you've gathered. The majority of people are still debating. and making decisions regarding items on their to-do list. I frequently come across items on a to-do list that, like a mother or a bank or a strategic plan or a doctor. And that's fantastic, you've captured something. However, there are still some. You must use decision-making skills. What kind of attention do you require? To dress up mom and celebrate her birthday? What kind of attention do you still require? To put your bank account and credit line in jeopardy? So that's how the executive branch makes decisions. You should think about what these terms truly mean. And what exactly are you going to do? What are you going to do about them, if anything? So there are some really basic, you must, however, ask some extremely serious questions about everything you've recorded or gathered. If you reach into your in-basket for something that drew your attention, the first question is whether it is something that can be done. Is that something you actually require? To make a difference? There are two possible responses. Yes and no to that question. No, it's not possible. So, what are your plans for mom's birthday? Are you going to take action? Is it the bank or the credit line that you're concerned about? If you say no, and by the way, if you say no, we capture or collect a lot of information. Things that are gathered for us, for example in your email, on which no action has been taken. There are quite a few of them. Yes, I'm sure you take notes during meetings. Those are some thoughts that have been captured, but there are many more. Things are in those notes that you are most likely familiar with. There's no need to do anything about it. And if there is a no response, there are still three possibilities available to you. The first is garbage. Now that I've seen it, I'm convinced. I don't require it, and I didn't require it in the first place. A lot of people, by the way, must make that decision about a number of items that are currently sitting in their inbox, as well as stuff that are strewn about. Trash, as I previously stated, self-generates rather than self-destructs. Option 2, if option 1 isn't feasible, is to so yet, nothing has been done about it. But it's possible that there will be later. That's what we call the incubate category. I need to let this incubate for a while, so I'm going to do that. Either I need to think about it some more, or I need to make a decision. Or I need to think about it for a while before making a conclusion. As an example, you might remark that a bank, I'm not sure I want to look into that just yet. Since we're looking at alternative cash flow options, however, that is a nice suggestion, and we should consider it. In 2 or 3 weeks, reconsider. Then there's reference material, which is the third type. That's something I need to remember. That is something I need to be able to refer back to. So there are 3 categories that aren't actionable: delete, incubate, or cite. So there is an action when you say OK. Then there are 2 pretty important questions to consider. That clarifies exactly what your work entails. And I use the term work in the broadest sense possible. Call it whatever you want to get done that hasn't been done yet. First and foremost, those 2 crucial questions: so, what's the next step? If it's something that can be done, what's going to happen next? That I need to do in order to move this along? As a result, when I say next action, I mean I'm referring to really fine-grained information. Physical action that is very distinct and evident. Not all of the steps you need to take are listed here. The one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that, and the that. It's interesting that we've discovered this genuinely allows your thoughts to unwind. At the very least, you'll know what the trigger action is. Not necessarily all the ones after that. After that, we'll go on to the next step. As a result, scheduling a meeting isn't actually a next step. Because it may be an email, a phone call, or a text message, you might assign the duty of scheduling the meeting to your assistant. The second question you must ask and respond to is if that one activity fails to complete or finish what is the project, whatever this is about. As a result, simply using the project's common language is sufficient. As well as making a list of all your projects, you are unable to complete a project. Give mom a birthday party is an example of a project. Or plan for the upcoming holiday, or to begin implementing the strategy plan, or to put the finishing touches on the budget. You don't truly do those things. You take action in response to them. As a result, a project is nothing more than a result. That it is necessary to take more than one action. The issue is that if you don't actually capture. What is the project that is causing all of this? That have caught your eye, and you do one action before getting sidetracked. Maybe you're dragged away to do something else. You don't have a placeholder in the world now, do you? It's taken back by your mind. Oh, I'm still working on it. It then returns to your mind. And that's the last thing you want. To summarize, clarifying means, first and foremost, we've figured out what's grabbing our attention. However, we must then devote more focused attention on such items in order to figure out what they mean, because in order to advance to the next stage, it entails organizing the outcomes, defining what these terms represent, and where they belong. To begin, there is a key step to take. Once you've decided on your next course of action, you have three alternatives when it comes to actionable items. First and foremost, you are able to carry out the activity immediately. And if that action is taken, we advise you to do so. It takes 2 minutes or less to complete. This is the well-known 2-minute rule. Getting things done is a term used to describe the process of getting things done. The 2-minute rule states simply: if you decide on a course of action and where you want to go, and the situation you're in, if you're able to do that action in under 2 minutes right now. If you're even going to do it. Because stacking it would take more time, it would be if you could track it down and look at it again. Must finish it the first time it comes up in front of you, and just because it takes 2 minutes doesn't mean it's not worth it. A crucial factor, and in many cases, the next step on a few of your most important initiatives, is a 2-minute event. It could be a fast email that needs to be sent to someone. It's possible that you'll have to do it. It's only a piece of information you require to take down the web page, so that's 2 minutes. The 2-minute rule is now in effect. While you're doing the dishes, when you're clearing up your inbox, that is. You don't have to spend your entire day doing this. Taking only 2 minutes to do something. So, ideally, you'd like to do it while you're cleaning the house. Then, in the process, a lot of stuff gets done. By the way, if you work in an email-heavy setting, between 30 and 40% of your actionable emails in 2 minutes or less, you could probably dispatch. So keep that in mind as you complete the 2-minute exercises. If it takes more than 2 minutes, you'll need to hire a professional. To ponder the next important question, the second D to take care of is it possible to delegate it, and are you the right person for the job? To carry out that activity, is there anyone else nearby who would be a better fit to accomplish this? Do you have a personal assistant or someone to assist you? Is it a co-worker or a peer who reports to you? When it comes to organization, agendas will be one of the most important organizing categories that you use for both meetings and people, so sometimes the simplest method to delegate is to simply add that to the agenda for Susan or Marcos to review, or whoever you're going to entrust this task to. So, if you can, delegate. And if you can't accomplish that, then you're finished. This action item takes longer to complete. You're the one who has to do it. That brings us to the final D, which is defer. That's what I'll have to organize after that. As a reminder of tasks that only I am capable of completing. I need to write a lengthy document. Or it may be a spreadsheet that I need to complete. Or to create. Or it could be a presentation that I need to prepare. In Keynote or PowerPoint. So, do you want to see if there are any 2-minute actions that you could do right now that is sitting around you? Merely to get a sense of it, is there anything you'd like to delegate or hand off to another person? Look around to see if there's anything you'd like to do, just to put this into practice. And if it is, there is something you can do about it. Don't worry, there's much to hold on to. Do it in 2 minutes or less. If you have more than 2 minutes, please pass it on. If you're unable to do so, defer. So, now that you've gotten your attention, the issues that have piqued your interest, and clarified what they represent, and then taking a couple of 2-minute activities. I delegated some tasks, and now I'm ready to take action. This brings us to the third phase, which is to figure out what you need to do. Which is the process of organizing and arranging implies that I have made a decision. So all I have to do now is park it. Where do stuff like that go? And, for the most part, lists are just that. You'll find everything you require there. And there are a few at the level of activities. There are a variety of categories to choose from that you will find handy. When you've figured out what you're going to do next, if you can't finish it in 2 minutes, and you have to, you can choose to put it on your calendar or not. If there is a certain task that must be completed, calendars are used to keep track of dates and times. The majority of your acts, on the other hand, are not scheduled. They must be completed as soon as possible. In and around your calendar's activities, that's when action lists for the next steps come in handy. The majority of people have a list of future actions. 30, 40, 50, and even 100 of the subsequent acts. There's work to be done at the computer, calls to be made, and so on. Things to talk about with others, and so on. If you wanted to, you could combine everything into one list. However, if you're sitting, that can be a little overpowering. And being able to view all of them at the same time. As a result, humans have discovered a way to organize them by context to be quite beneficial. You could, for example, make a to-do list for the office. Alternatively, you may make a phone list or a computer list. Errands are a common example. By the way, there's another category that's quite important, especially if you collaborate with a large group of people, is the subject of agendas. I'm sure you have a folder full of agendas to go over with folks in a meeting from time to time. Here's everything I'd like to discuss with them. Along with your own acts, this is a very important list to include. The waiting fors are really significant. Your projects list is another essential list to have. The projects are the ideas that you have come up with. Oh, throw a birthday celebration for mom, as you specified. Alternatively, I may require an increase in my bank credit line. So those are the things we'd refer to as projects. It's fantastic to have that list, it's quite strong. This is a crucial list for staying organized. It's a little more advanced than a standard to-do list. Because we've figured out what these terms mean, it's also a lot easier to navigate after that. Being able to work from day to day, hour to hour to see your calendar, take a break from your to-do list. I've got some free time, so here are all the other possibilities. About what you'll be working with. Now that we've gotten your attention, let's go on to the next step. Explained and arranged what they were saying. It's not like you can just leave it there. Many people, it's possible, make lists. They don't look at them though. And avoid interacting with them, they're still thinking with their heads. So here's the strange thing, is that you must actually engage with your mind. To be able to clear your mind of unwanted thoughts. What exactly do I mean? Step 4 is to think about it and review it. Take a step back and examine the situation. You know, it's quite straightforward. Now, review and reflection take place on a variety of levels. We have our commitments on all levels. The most popular method is to go over your calendar. That people would do in order to stay on track. Check to see if you're missing anything. You won't want to miss it. If you've been making a list of future steps, those would be interesting. You'd have to take a step back and assess the situation. When you actually have some free time, I don't always need to peek at my future actions list. Since my calendar is filled to the brim all day, I'd already checked them to make sure nothing was going to perish. As a result, all of these become options for interacting with the system. To ensure that you are able to stay present with what you're doing and not be anxious about it. That you could have overlooked anything, or you're being nibbled on by something. The most frequently requested review that we've seen, the weekly review, is what we call it while we're reflecting. What a great and innovative project list this is! And how crucial it is to keep you oriented over a longer time scale, such as week to week rather than just hour to hour. So I'm going to take a step back and have a look at those. Those initiatives, whether they're 30, 40, or 50, should be done on a regular basis. I also use my calendar to look forward and backward. So that's a part of the normal review process. Where I've gotten everything out of my thoughts, I've made it clear what it is. However, in order to go to step 5, which is where I'll start making decisions in regards to what I'm doing, then, when you take a step back and look at it, it gets a lot easier after that. And then there's the time for review and reflection. Becomes quite inventive. You'll come up with concepts you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Just dealing with emails on a daily basis, as well as phone calls and other distractions, as well as persons entering and exiting. Being able to keep the world at bay. As a result, schedule adequate review and contemplation time. It isn't going to happen on its own. Is there a 1 to 2 hour window available? Every week at the end of the week? That is something that many individuals structure. Let's say it's a Friday afternoon early. They have a standard work week that runs from Monday to Friday. They'll take a step back and say, all right, let me block in. Close the door for a couple of hours. If you need to close a door, and keep the rest of the world at bay. And it's there that I'm going to ponder. On the current state of affairs, take a look at any new projects that have surfaced, something I haven't included in my list. Basically, I'm trying to clean out my system and catch up. When most people are at their happiest at work, it's a week before you depart, in my experience. Why would you do this on a major holiday or vacation? So, consider what you're doing. You've got a week before you leave. You're most likely sifting through all of your belongings, considering and evaluating, and then renegotiate all of your contracts with yourself as well as everyone else. So that when you're on vacation, you'll be able to. None of this bothers or irritates you. I'd propose doing it on a weekly basis rather than yearly. But it is the concept. I need to clean house, or, to put it another way, bring up the rear guard. So think about it, it's critical to do so. That the system as a whole works, getting things done in an unusual manner. It's not so much about getting things done as it is about having fun. It's all about being fully involved. Our ability to be present in this space to a considerable extent. What we're doing is using the first 4 best practices as a guide. Everything has been captured and everything has been cleared. In terms of what it entails, and I've put those in the proper location. I've taken a step back and examined it. When I make a decision now, the decision is based on intuition and trust. As contrasted to a tumultuous hope, the majority of people are making decisions. Out of the most recent and obnoxious stuff, they're hoping it's the right decision. The ideal practice is to have completed this task. The first 4 most effective strategies. So that you can be confident in your decision about the things you do and don't do at any point in the past, present, or future. The term engaged does not always imply involved. Go ahead and work harder, faster, and longer. It's possible that you have a strict deadline for some tasks. People are relying on you, to be sure. It's possible that you'll have to dress as if I'm in need. Should put in longer hours and work up a sweat about it. When I'm engaged, I have to take a step back. I need to reflect and not do anything. I need to meditate. I need to take care of my relationships, and I need to take care of myself. I need to nap after spending time with my children. Taking a nap, believe it or not, is just as entertaining. As well as everything else. What am I supposed to do at this point in time? Where do I put my attention and where do I concentrate my focus? As a result, the best practice in all of this is to have figured out the entire system, this all-encompassing approach to getting things done, where I'm taking notes, clarifying them, and organizing them. Taking a step back to analyze and reflect. And keeping that up to date so that I don't make any mistakes. A decision based on the hope that this is the proper thing to do. I'm making a decision. I've considered all of the possibilities and have come to the following conclusion. Now, I could make a mistake, but it doesn't mean obstacles aren't present, as well as issues and opportunities. It also doesn't always make you smarter. It does this by freeing up your mind to finally being able to trust your own instincts. What you decide to do is up to you. People, on the other hand, find it difficult to set priorities. Alternatively, if they still need to make decisions, they can do so on a priority basis. They have a lot going on in their heads. So, once again, the entire process is about being able to externalize and objectify all of your commitments. You have them on all of the different levels you have. So that you can take a breather, view the entire game before making informed decisions. Getting things done is one way of looking at it. People are asked to begin where they are. They aren't at the right place. There are numerous excellent programs available, as well as fantastic books and motivating materials about concentrating on the greater picture, as well as your life's mission, as well as your principles and long-term plans. And those, of course, should, in the end, be the driving force behind priorities. However, if you try to begin there, you will fail. Down on the ground, people are out of control. You look like you're spitting in the wind. It's a bit of a challenge. One of the things I found out is that people will understand how to execute elegantly once they have a notion of how to do so. As well as smoothly and promptly, they automatically refocus their attention into some of the more significant games. It's also a lot easier to maintain attention once you've done that. Once you've mastered the little game, you can move on to the bigger one. Think about it this way: how long does it take to alter a target? Just a second. How long does it take to master goal execution? If you're exceptionally good, 2 years. So, that's why the focus of GTD and getting things done is on getting things done. About a topic that is really important must be able to direct your attention where you want it to go. This is known as execution. It really concentrates on that. And I believe it does it in a unique way. As a result, we don't sit down and inform folks that they should be strategic in their thoughts. We simply inquire as to what is on their minds. When we ask people to take a mind scan, they almost always say yes. They just sort of spit out whatever's on their minds. When they build a comprehensive list of everything, only a small percentage of people jot down the first 10 things that come to mind. Jot down your desire to realize your destiny as a human spirit on this world. They make a note to get a babysitter. Recruit a personal helper. Advertisement campaign. Food for dogs. That is, after all, where people's attention is focused. As a result, we meet individuals wherever they are. Allow them to take charge of it after that. And once they've figured out how to accomplish it, they can do it about anything for the rest of their lives. We are constantly focusing on our priorities. Every single time. The priority question is straightforward. What's on your mind right now? Begin to pay attention to what has piqued your interest. Is truly the key to unlocking your priorities. Because if you want to be present, you must first be present. Which method of hitting a golf ball is the most efficient? Or engage in a tense discussion? Or prepare a meal for a group of pals? You want to be in the most productive environment possible. Then you must begin to pay attention to whatever it is that has your focus. And then connect with it in a way that is suitable. That is what the GTD model is all about. I haven't seen anything else like that. That nailed it just the way we did. We're frequently asked how long something takes. To put this stuff into practice, there are numerous ways to respond to that question. You can start using this information right away. Immediately. How long does it take you to sit down and jot down your ideas? What are the top 10 concerns on your mind right now? How long does it take to decide what steps to do next? And I can assure you that the return on investment will be immediate. Immediately. If you're wondering how long it takes before you make this a habit and really integrate it into your life, 2 years, I'd think. If you put your mind to it and put in a lot of effort. The most significant barrier to entry for this is people's stress addiction. Their readiness to put up with not being able to complete tasks. So, if you're not getting things done, it will result in a backlog. Life will back up in your head like clogged drains. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll be awakened with things over which you have no control. There's a lot of it out there. The good news is that you don't have to do anything about it. The entire thing is worth a lot of money. And you could just keep doing it, and more of it, and continue to raise the bar. As a result, it requires less work and concentration. By the way, if you haven't read it yet, it's a fantastic book. The Influence of Habit. There is an idea in there that he calls the foundational habit. Don't try to break 22 habits at once. Change 1 or 2 bad habits that you have. If those things change, a lot of the others will as well. Are going to start falling like dominoes. So, in the world of getting things done, emptying your inbox will be one of those cornerstone habits. As well as the weekly review. And the truth is that people say things like, wow, this may appear to be a lot of work, but believe me when I say that it is not. It takes a lot less effort to work from home. A 0 backlog is preferable to a 3,000 backlog. Have faith in me. It's also a lot easier to deal with unexpected events. And fresh things will be thrown at you. Because if you have a large backlog, anything feels like an interruption when there's a lot of unprocessed information. There are no interruptions if you don't have a backlog. There are only new ways to interact with your surroundings. Many people have told me, I started getting things done, David. I swerved off the wagon. Until it becomes second nature, it's most likely something about which you tumble off the wagon cause you have a bad habit. They have a habit of keeping things in their heads. When things get tough, when you can't concentrate on what you're trying to learn, you'll revert to cruise control once more. For the most part, most people use cruise control is to make a mental note of it. That is, in fact, the default setting. For a large number of individuals on a wide range of topics, they're quite good at it, and it's easy for them to slip back into it. So here's the intriguing part: is it very easy to go down the cliff? The wagon of getting things done. It's also true that it's very simple to get back on track with getting things done. It only takes a few moments. Stop, sit down, and clear your mind once more. Make decisions about what to do next. It all boils down to how soon you can get started. To notice that I'm out of sorts, and do you want to come back on? So, if you fall off, just hop back on. Fall off, put on again. It's like those things. If you keep going where you won't be able to return back to your previous location, there will be something you've incorporated. So it'll be a little bit of a game in that sense. However, at some point, this is going to be put on cruise control. This type of schooling is truly scalable. However, in a hilarious way. Is it possible to educate a company to read? You teach individuals in the organization to read, not the other way around. You must also have a literate culture in order for your organization to function. So, can you teach GTD to a company? No, you must educate the individuals. GTD is used at that company. However, the entire culture can greatly assist, providing instruction and encouragement for those habits. As a result, much of what we've seen in terms of organizational adoption, and a large part of the fascination is learning about their civilizations to sort of adopt some of these fundamental standards, as well as fundamental concepts and principles. If a company only accomplished one thing, it would be a success. Because each meeting began with a discussion of what are we attempting to accomplish by when. No communication is ever left unfinished. So, what did we just determine, and what should we do next? Is that one of yours or one of mine? And people did keep track of their agreements and commitments. It has the potential to alter a civilization. We've seen it happen before. So, yes, entire cultures might be affected. To put it another way, move up the food chain. It doesn't. It merely necessitates the presence of a few crucial individuals that begin to engage in these behaviors. In the Air Force, we had a major general. He didn't, however, make people go through a weekly evaluation. So he didn't go around telling you that you have to do GTD. He only asked that they keep track of the items. That GTD helps you gain control of it. Simply sound business. It's also difficult to legislate a system for everyone. You can, however, hold them accountable for the outcomes. Finally, let's have a look at what are some of the activities you might want to engage in. Following the viewing of this program implementation is one of the most obvious things to accomplish. If you haven't completed any of these steps, that you might be inspired to try, or at the very least want to try. Our website is an excellent resource in this regard. Getting Things Done, my first book, is about how to get things done. Is an excellent manual. I rewrote it in the form of a guidebook, so that you can come back to it later. I've had it read 4 or 5 times by various people. Every time they read it, it's a different novel. As a result of the fact that you'll be prepared for a different degree of information, a word of caution, you might already be feeling like this. This is far too much for one person to handle. My life is far too hectic for me to take a break and refresh. Or rearrange my computer system. That's okay. This is a lifestyle change that will last a lifetime. If you only followed the 2-minute rule, you'd be fine. You'd be in excellent physical condition. If you've only recently begun to wonder about the consequence, what are we attempting to accomplish, and what is the next step? If you just start to include that into your vocabulary, you'll be okay. With the individuals into your vocabulary you are surrounded by and live with, it's amazing how much of a difference it can make. Just clear your mind of a couple more things than you have in the past. Guaranteed, you'll have a better night's sleep. Have a good time. You might be amazed at how inventive you can get with this, and just how potent it can be. Many people truly believe it is transforming. When they first started, they had no prior experience. To carry out some of these simple tasks, best wishes. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.